Dave, how you doing?
Hey, very good.
Good,
What's
good.
okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you coming through loud and clear. How's things in Canada? Is it getting warm there at least?
It's just starting to get warm.
Yeah.
Actually, I had the fortunate opportunity to go with my family to the Bahamas for a little vacation there, just to get away and sort of recharge. And it was just absolutely beautiful there. And I was thinking, before we were leaving, the weather was starting to get warmer. And then all of a sudden, and I'm thinking, oh, it's just starting to get warmer here, but Bahamas is great. So we're going, and then we find out there's like snowstorms and all that stuff while we were gone. So it was kind of a good time to get away, and now it's starting to warm up. So
Yeah, we had a similar thing actually. Very much the same. We just had late snowstorms and everything, but we've had like the first warm day here, like properly warm in so long today. It's lovely, and the whole town comes to life. It's, I'm just admiring sort of the change in people with a little bit of sunshine, and it's the whole coming back to basics of looking at the whole concept of energy and just how it affects us in everyday life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I got such a dose of the sun because I'd missed the sun. It's been kind of a long winter here
Yes,
in
I get
Ontario,
you.
and when I went out there, I couldn't get out of the sun. It was incredible. Actually, it was a couple of days where I had to stay out of the sun. It took a little too much, but just the ocean water, the sun, the air. We were staying in a small little island called Eleuthera, and they have. It's just sort of, it's funny because it's like absolute paradise, but then in the villages and stuff, it's kind of third world. Like they're very, just very simple life. They fish for their dinner, that kind of stuff. And but they're just beautiful people, and I just had an amazing time there. It's so much different than the climate that I'm experiencing here in Canada, where everybody's waves to you when you're driving past them. They're laughing, they're singing, they're talking. Whether you're at the little grocery store there, or whether you're just walking down in the village. And it was just so refreshing to see what most people would just consider a bunch of poor people, which is why the island is actually pretty deserted in terms of tourists, because everybody's like, oh, it's too broken down there. Whereas I just thought it was one of the best getaways that I ever had, and I really got to meet some absolutely incredible people, for sure. It was awesome.
Wow. Well, it's good that you can appreciate those things, because I also myself, when I go on holiday, the last thing I want to do is go to somewhere like the French Riviera. I honestly like to go to places which remind me more of my own home country, something akin to Turkey, which has a very definite third world element. And I find that there's a lot of humility in that. It really just, there's some, the beauty and the nature without the decadence just is so much better.
Absolutely. I would say that these people were the wealthiest people I've ever met.
Wow.
Just because look at the beauty of their little island, and just the beauty of their spirit. So it very much inspired me. And when
Don't you just want to live on an island? I mean, like that's all I dream of doing every day, is going to live on a little island in a warm place somewhere. Oh, that's all I want to do.
Oh, yeah, you're grabbing coconuts from the tree out in front. It's beautiful, and I just think that that's amazing. And here in Canada, we have an absolutely beautiful countryside. There's a lot of incredible places here. I don't think a lot of people even know how beautiful the country is. I think they're always told that here in Canada it's just always covered in snow. But we have some really beautiful summers here, so I'm very much hoping that has actually started.
I'd love to come over to Canada. But speaking of which, I've got Kevin Anna joining me in 2 weeks. He's arriving here on the 3rd, and he's with me for a couple of weeks. And we, of course, are launching the South African round of tribunals. We're going to do the little opening ceremony. He's going to sort of hand over the Tura Wampum to me, and we're going to film it and put it on ITCCS and do all that. I'm looking forward to that so much. I just want to get all the information about the tribunals in South Africa out the way, because it's a lot, and I can't even tell you how it's very emotionally devastating to look at all the stuff all the time and realize that this is what we as human beings do to each other,
Well, I mean, we human beings, the way I see it is, it's we human beings that have been sort of stuck in this amnesic state where we have been deliberately separated from our natural state of being, our original potential. And a lot of people have been, these systems that are in place to keep us enslaved are more systems of the mind. It's more about keeping our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions completely projected and feeding something else. And so we see, of course, some of the most horrific things that you can imagine take place. And it seems that there are entities on the planet that would like to see that continue. They don't enjoy peace, and they don't enjoy sanity. And they look at things in a very different way. They view the human race very much as animalistic, and they perpetuate that. And so what I think that what I do when I look at anything that is as dark as that information that Kevin is doing a brilliant job exposing, is that I try to say, look, here's some darkness. We got to take a light into that darkness. And to me, there's nothing more positive than shining a light on it, so that not only can these victims of these crimes heal, but maybe the human race can heal by finally being honest and saying, okay, we have to accept that this is something that's taken place. Let's look at what it was that brought that about, and then let's go within, most importantly, and understand the tyrant within, and find out what is it inside that is producing these things. Because it's not just most of the people that I speak to absolutely are not capable of such horrific violence. They're not into ritualistic murder and things like that. I mean, when you look at that, that's just absolutely stunning. So there seems to be very different mentalities and energies that are going on, and I think it's a lot more than just this sort of meme that's put out there, especially by the media and the sort of mainstream scientific perspective, that we're just like these primitive apes, and we're always doomed to be at war with each other, and then you got the religious perspective, which is you're a filthy sinner and you need some external savior in order to be a complete spiritual being. And it's just nonsense. And the reason why the world is the way it is and these things are allowed to continue is because we believe into these types of things.
Yeah, we feed it, don't we? Every day, everything. I see people feed it all the time.
Yeah, and it's the system's designed to sell you this lie, and it's designed to keep you in that state of being. But what people often forget is that at the end of the day, it's always a choice. Whether if you're going to experience fear, even when you're viewing something horrific, it's a choice that you're perceiving that in that way. And we can't get down and pessimistic and negative just because we see negative things. In fact, we have so many great people, people such as yourself, Mel, and so many people that are out there that care, that have that caring spirit. And that gives me courage, is that there's more and more of those people surfacing now. Whereas maybe in the past, you look at like the Dark Ages and those horrific periods of time, and there was only maybe one or two or a few people here and there that were trying to, shine the light. And of course they got, brutally tortured or whatever. And so, but now we live in a day where just the average everyday person, I'm no one special. I'm just a regular guy, and I just I see what's going on, and now just a regular person can get out there and shine that light. And so I guess we just got to keep continuing to encourage people to do that, even if they're afraid. Do it anyways.
Absolutely. And now that you've said that, I think probably would be a great time for me to sort of slip in my introduction and say that one of the reasons why I really wanted to speak to you so soon after you interviewed me, first off, how absolutely honoured to be approached by someone like yourself. And I'll give you the little background reason. I recently interviewed Jordan Maxwell, and I listened to our interview, and I listened to it again when I edited it up, and I looked at my dear husband, and I looked at him and said, after 4 years of doing this, what do you do when the greats can't teach you? Because I learned nothing new from him. And he said to me, you look to those young ones who are coming up. And then I thought to myself, that's right. Those guys they've brought a certain amount out, but they're those of us who are coming along, and there are other dots here to be connected. There are people invested in their dots. They've connected those dots. They can prove those dots. They've got all the information about those dots. They're staying there. There's a hell of a lot more to be put together. And it is, when I spoke to you, I just knew you were of that level of understanding and perceptive awareness. And how great to have, as you said, ordinary young man coming out and speaking to people very articulately, getting across information, understanding, and bringing to conversation the things which need to be spoken about. I mean, and you came across so well to me during the interview. I was like, wow, blown away, fantastic. There's so many great young people like yourselves coming out and doing this now. So thank you very much for giving me your time, and I am really honored that you contacted me first. And I'm sorry I didn't find you.
Oh, well, Mel, and coming from you, that's a major compliment. So I'm very grateful for that. And I just, you bring up a good point, and I, like Jordan Maxwell for me has been one of my longtime mentors. I've seen everything he's done. I've followed him for a long time. I have a great respect for him. And what I think is that there definitely is new ground that needs to be plowed, and nobody should expect one person to do all of this work. And I think that the whole point of any of these teachers or anybody that's worth their salt in that regard has been trying to get out is to try to inspire other people that might be able to bring different energy or different ideas to these different issues. And someone like Jordan's been doing this for so long and seeing in his view such little result, although things are getting a lot bigger. And maybe only the younger generation coming up will be able to have that vision and that vigor to actually go out and continue this endeavor. And so I feel like I stand on the shoulders of giants, and I draw a lot of motivation from people like Jordan and many other great teachers. And I just think that we need to carry this torch forward, and absolutely this is evolving. We're learning more. We know so much more within the last 5 years than anybody could have researched in the last maybe 50 to 100 years. We've learned so much just from connecting to other people. But some of the greatest connections I've had have been just with other young people through things like Facebook or YouTube or some of these social media networks that I figured, when I first had like a Facebook account, I was just kind of like bored to tears by the regular banter. And so I turned my page back in 2007 into an alternative information page, and I just started posting stuff. I lost a lot of friends, had a lot of family sort of ostracize me, make fun of me. I've been through a tremendous amount of ridicule, actually. But I just knew that it was right, and I knew that even if I knew that I was at least on the right path, because I was able to see something, and I just figured that maybe it was because in some areas I had been able to get rid of some fears and anxieties that were holding me back previously in my life, because I actually grew up in a very deep space of fear, and I had to deal with that. And there's nobody out there that's ever going to help you with that other than when you actually decide to do it yourself. You can take inspiration and guidance from others, and that's what I did, but at the end of the day, you've got to make that choice, and you've got to deal with those inner demons and whatnot. So the ability I guess that to me that sort of was a gift, that I was able to do that a bit younger maybe than some people, and I still deal with it to this day, but I was able to at least get a good foundation, and then move forward from there. And when I talk to just the regular person that would say, "Oh no, there's nothing going on. Don't worry, everything's fine." I just realized that it's a space of fear and disempowerment that produces that mentality. And so I took, after a while, you get kind of fired up. You're kind of like, "Oh no, but it's this." But now I'm much more relaxed, and I'm much more, in the mindset that, when people are ready, when you're ready, when the time is right, you'll see it. You'll see the truth, and you'll be inspired to seek it out. And so I take heart in knowing that more people are going on that way.
Absolutely, and so well put, because I listen to you, and we have a very, very similar background, and I think it's specific backgrounds that produce certain types of individual who are perfect for what you and I are doing in terms of being on this journey, communicating this information. I too grew up in a very deep space of fear, and learning to overcome that has been, I think, one of the things that has made me so strong. And so, I'm not afraid to do this. I'm going to do this. And we've had a few really nasty things happen to us. So I really, really recognize that. But also, you mentioned before when you spoke to me that you grew up with very religious parents. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I was and just to clarify, they were always doing what they thought was best. I could see that their intention was that they just they loved me, they wanted to do what was best, but they got drawn into a very fundamentalist, almost cultish type of Christianity, and it was actually a homeschooling program that was based out of the United States, of all places, actually, and I was very much introduced to those concepts through fear, through a lot of the, when I was at the different churches that we would be at. I've seen some pretty crazy things. I've seen, and I had to grow up with that anxiety And there was something about it that just, even from a young age, from the youngest age I can remember, that just absolutely did not resonate with my being. I just knew that there was something off. I kept asking questions, but of course, when you're a young kid, you don't have all the references that I would have now. And I would just ask simple questions, and of course, there's always an answer from a mentality like that. But it never satisfied me. And I just felt, why am I feeling so guilty? Why am I feeling so afraid? How could I be afraid of the creator of the universe? Well, what's up with that? And I didn't understand it. And so for me, I was actually, I got to a spot when I was in my early teens where I was suffering from severe depression and anxiety. I was absolutely nothing like what I've been able to get to now. I was completely fractured, and my parents, again, trying to do the best that they could with the information they had, they brought me to see, a psychiatrist and all of that, because that's what the doctor recommended. And so then they put you on different medications and all this stuff, and this stuff is lethal. It's stuff like Paxil and some pretty crazy drugs, and it numbs your body, it numbs everything, but even that didn't feel right. And then I just went on this path of seeking, and I just knew I knew that either I was going to figure this out or I was going to die. Like, in my mind, that's what I felt. I was just like, I can't live with this kind of depression. And so I actually went and I started going to the library and just reading books and books and books. And I read on every religion I could get my hands on. I started studying not only the religion, but one book had actually pointed me to the fact that you can't study for religion for 5 minutes without actually going and researching the political and the environment in which those religions were born, or which those religions are practiced. And so I started researching some of the political stuff. But mostly my path started with comparative religious studies. And then, of course, through the whole time, the only thing that kept me empowered in any degree was through studying martial arts and getting into that philosophy. And that was something that resonated with me. It was my secret little thing. I would just take guys out because I was forbidden from doing martial arts as a kid because it was apparently, of the devil or violent or whatever. So I would go and sneak to the library, grab a book, read. So I was introduced more to the philosophy of martial arts first. And then eventually later on, my parents started switching over and understanding, and I got involved in martial arts, and now they're my biggest fans, and they support me to this day now. So I was able to at least help give them another perspective from my years of research into religion and whatnot, and I think I've been able to benefit them positively now. So.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's wonderful that your parents have eventually come around and that they now support you. Are they actually looking at any of the research and listening to any of the interviews you put out?
Yes, I know my dad's quite busy. He actually works for CTV, so it's an interesting situation there. But my mom is definitely checking it out, and a lot more open-minded to it. I don't know what everybody's opinion is, but at the same time, I'm just here doing what I feel is right. That's all I can do, and I'm respected at least for that. And so I definitely, all I want to do is affect people positively and say, look, we don't need to be in fear of the creator or of some deity or some demon or some priest or whatever. You don't need to be living in fear. Anything that's based on fear, or anything that is trying to bring you into the light through fear and through guilt and through trauma, and with a history of trauma and war and murder and death and destruction. It says even in the Bible, you will know them by their fruits. Yeah. And I've taken that literally. So I look around and I just judge, okay, well, I don't care what Barack Obama is saying or what this priest is saying or what this person's saying. I'm going to look at the actions that are coming from those words. I'm going to look at what the fruits are, because that's the only way you're going to be able to tell the liar from the truth teller. Yeah. And when I look at people, I started doing a lot of study with getting into Alan Watts, getting into growing up and very much inspired Joseph Campbell, some brilliant people, Krishnamurti, and just really seeing that, wow, there's a totally different vibration of energy coming from those people and what they're talking about. And it encouraged me to go research it for myself. I never just took what anybody told me. I just, because I knew I couldn't trust anything. And I just went out and said, look, I'm going to do my own research here. And speaking of Jordan Maxwell, when I came across his work, he helped me tremendously to get over a lot of humps. And his number one thing was, look, you got to go back and do your homework. And he's right. And so I've been doing that diligently. And then, what you got to do is then take it to the next level and continue pushing through. And I've never gotten to a point that I'm at now where I'm at the most confident I've ever been, the most empowered I've ever been. I've shed as much fear as I can imagine. I've moved to such a degree just by being sincere and just by continuing the path, even though I come across obstacles, even though sometimes I feel afraid or negativity happens or people start pointing fingers or whatever. And you just get to a point where you realize that any emotion you feel, anything that you're getting from other people, it's all generated from you. And when you realize that you have the control the whole time and it's always from you, wow, what an empowering thing.
Yeah. Wow. That's phenomenal. So you've done a lot of research into comparative religion. So now I get, okay, when you came on and you interviewed me, there's a very deep understanding that you have. I was like compelled by this young man. I was like, wow, you really, really get it because you know and you understand from many, many layers. So you've done the research yourself, which is brilliant. Are you planning on putting this together, or have you got any idea or sort of a thread or ideology that runs through any of this that you want to put together in a comprehensive work?
I would love to, actually. I just have gigabytes and gigabytes of data, and that's what I guess I tried to start doing with my website, was to just kind of put it up. I haven't even put up the religious stuff on my site yet. I could build a whole website just on religion, and you know what? I just might do that. I've often talked to my wife about, because she's actually a really amazing writer, even though she never takes credit for something like that. But if she ever sat down and started writing, her ability to comprehend how to lay it out and how to word it properly is phenomenal. So I've always kind of tossed the idea back and forth with her. She's like, hey, I don't even care if anybody ever reads it, but just for fun, why don't we do this project together? Why don't we just make an office, and we'll have little cubicles, and we'll play pranks on each other, and we'll just go to write a book together. We'll have some fun and just put some ideas down. And I've got tons of research, and you know how to do all the writing, so let's do it. And so it's kind of maybe something we'll do in the future as sort of just a fun project, and then we'll see where it goes.
Okay, brilliant. And I know when you spoke to me, you said you've got a little one. Are you planning on homeschooling?
Based on the way things are going, I am absolutely entertaining that idea. It's so crazy because I went through a process of absolutely hating the idea of homeschool when I grew up, because I was homeschooled and because I had a bad experience with it. But it was just because of what I had said earlier, that it was the whole basis of it was built on a prison of fear and disinformation, in my opinion. All with best intentions aside. But that was my experience. And then as I've been coming through, and then I've taken a few courses here and there at different colleges, just to check it out. And my wife went to university, and so we've had many talks about it. And I look at what's going on, and I've researched John Taylor Gatto's work and so many other great people that have gone out and talked about the truth about what's going on in the education system. I have contact with people that are on some of the school boards here in Toronto. And they agree with me that it's completely left brain. It's getting worse and worse in terms of surveillance and nitpicking what you can bring with your kids' lunch and whatnot. And we're just seeing, the fruits are revealed in the children. And I work with children in my martial arts studio. And I see the difference. And I see that, they're bored out of their mind when it comes to going to school and education. And it just seems to be more and more increasingly a negative environment. So, I definitely think that by the time my daughter's of age, that if it hasn't gotten any better, that it's definitely a possibility for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you think you're going to go about educating? Have you thought about that?
I think about it all the time, and I constantly just say, well, if whether she ends up going to school or not, my whole goal will be to give her own mind. That's really my own goal, is to say, look, I'm not even going to push my thing on you. Like, I want her to come to her own enlightenment. And because I just believe, especially from teaching martial arts and whatnot, is that the best teachers that I've ever had, and the best teachers there are are those that show you to the wisdom of your own mind. Like they're the ones that are there to get you to start having your own rational judgment and creativity. The imagination is another thing that needs to be encouraged and stimulated, and bringing out that inner creativity. And of course, that's what's being destroyed in the education system. All the artistic programs are gone and not respected. You can't really get a job in an artistic field and make any decent living. So it's just obviously a manufacturing plant for the system, and so what I want to do with her, regardless of which method I use, is to just say, whenever I had a question, whenever I didn't know something, I went out and found somebody that did, and then I would go, well, that's an interesting perspective. Let's go and look at someone else's perspective, and then you end up getting a very syncretic view of things. You end up starting looking at things very objectively. And then you're bringing in all these different elements, and then you're making your conclusion, and then even that conclusion is flexible based on on new information. I mean, we all have to be sort of like the true scientist, the true alchemist, the true philosopher, and you have to be all of those things. So I just want to introduce her to those things. And already she's she's only 13 months, and she loves music, and she likes to sing, and she's not even forming words yet, but she's trying. And she'll pound away on the piano with me. I do it with her a little bit every day. She just gets up there, and I put music on. She starts dancing, and so I just encouraging her to have that healthy spirit, and not to be just stuck in some oh, this is the way I want you to do it. I don't want to do that at all to her. So that's pretty much my overall method, I guess.
Superb. I think absolute credit to most parents. They should listen a little bit more to that, because I am so amazed, and I have so much respect and admiration for anyone brave enough to have children, especially being as awake and aware as you are. Because I've been married to the most wonderful man for 12 years, and I know we'd be wonderful parents. And honest to God, there's nothing I'm more afraid of than having a child. I'm not scared of anything, but I'm really scared of bringing a child into this world because of everything that comes with it. And in Europe, we live in Europe particularly, it is becoming so much of a police state. This is the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So there's this hesitation, and I take great sort of courage from people like yourselves when I listen to how you guys are overcoming solutions. You're finding solutions to the problems that we have. And I think it's very fundamental, basic platforms like these that need to be established, because at the end of the day, almost everybody has a child. Yeah? Most people have children. This is something that will have to be looked at by us sooner or later. The awake and aware ones are already looking. I've got people all over the world who are asking me about looking at creating an online learning platform for children where it's self-determining what they want to learn. They've got a bit of choice over, very much like we do now, but like a place obviously where they can't sort of access porn and things. More controlled environment where they can go, oh, I want to learn about, say, hidden space programs. Let's go listen to so-and-so's interview about what he has to say. This guy was apparently on Mars, And give them that access. I think about myself as a child, what I would have done to have had that kind of information back then, instead of just being fed the garbage that we are. And, I think any parent who's bringing children into this world, and they really are the future. This is how we're going to change the world. If we want to create a better world, we've got to create better kids. And I encourage any parent to think carefully about what they are feeding their children in terms of information. I think it starts with information. Even food starts with information.
That's right. Well, because everything is information. It's just different varying waveforms of information, really. And I think that, Mel, let me encourage you further that I believe this. I believe people, especially those that are awake, those are the people that need to be parenting children right now. Those are the people have a child in spite of it. I think there's sort of an agenda here to make the world such a dark place that it will justify these one-child policies or whatever. And I think that we need to bring awake and aware children, or at least children that have their own mind and their own spirit. We need more of those types of children, because the world is drowning right now in children that are unfortunately, these children, because of the environment, because of the way they're being raised, their parents don't have any proper information, and these children are getting dumber and dumber and dumber, and they're getting less inspired and motivated. I mean, just look at how many children are on antidepressants, for crying out loud. And these doctors actually put those poisons into their bodies and actually think that that's the reason why. Is, oh, your 9-year-old child is suffering from clinical depression. Look, even I was diagnosed with depression, but look, I did it on my own without the drugs. I did it on my own, and it's because I was disconnected from my true inner human spirit. I look at the body as a conduit. It's something that is your temple. It's something that is conducting your higher consciousness, which is just another, expression of a vibrational energy. And if there's blockages in there, and if there's anything that's holding that body or that organism back, then the projection is going to be distorted. So what we need is to have these children that are understanding what true nutrition is, not this Canada Food Guide bullshit. It's got to be true nutrition about what's really good to put into your body that's going to be able to help build it up and release those blockages. And then what's good information to feed the brain and to feed the mind. Television, not a good idea. It's a lot of garbage. So just, turn it off, show them some nature shows, show them some, just show your child a picture of the galaxy in which they live. And then ask them, what do you think about the fact that you live in a galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars around it? And do you think that child's going to be afraid? No. A lot of people get afraid when they think about how big the universe is, but the children that I talk to, they love talking about that. It inspires them. They're like, wow, it's fascinating. You just pull out a picture. Here, Milky Way galaxy. They're like, oh my God, that's incredible. Let's go out and look at the stars. And then you start looking at constellations, and you just watch. These children will be our teachers. And I think there's a lot of positive, high-frequency energy coming into this planet right now. I think that some of the souls, or the essences that are coming in, are very advanced souls. Some of them are either very old souls, they've been around, they have a lot to bring in. Some of them are not even from our native planet here, and they're coming in to try to raise the frequency vibration of this planet. And so I think that all we need is a environment for those types of children, and we need the right people that are awake, that are empowered, to bring these children in and to give them the proper environment so that they can thrive, so that we can change this, zombie planet that we've got going on here into an enlightened planet again, because we have the potential, but the time is now. That's kind of how I see it.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. I am inspired. Thank you for that. Gee, but going forward, now let's be realistic, okay? We're talking about the future and our children. What is your outlook? Honestly, I mean, there's a lot going on at the moment. There's a shuffle in power going on. Is it just a panic, do you think? Or what do you really think is going on?
Well, I mean, I just got word of we've had all these things, this Boston tragedy and all these other mind control operations. At the very least, they're media mind control by just trying to induce fear and anxiety into people. And in Toronto, I live in Toronto, and right outside of Toronto on Monday, it's all over Canadian news right now, where police apparently arrested some terrorists that were trying to bomb the train, and they of course have links to Al-Qaeda, who have links to Iran, and this is what obviously the mainstream is telling us. And if anybody knows what's happened within the last year in Canada, where they had kicked out the Iranian embassy and basically completely aligned with Israel, and Stephen Harper got an award from a Jewish elite society that was patting him on the back, going, "Hey, great job supporting Israel. Great job. You're doing your work." And so it's just interesting that here they are. They don't even know anything about this right now, and the media within minutes is saying, "Oh, it's Al Qaeda with links to Iran." So I think what I'm seeing is that they're trying to, number one, use these events to demonize the alternative research community and the truth movement, and try to point them out as being part of this in some way, or homegrown terrorism and all this. And in one sense you could say, oh, that looks hopeless. That looks like they're going to win. But in another sense, you could look at it like this. You could look at it like, maybe we've been accumulating damage, and maybe the reason why we're getting such heat and such attention, and why they're really ramping up these different fear drills and all this stuff, is that they know for a fact that we're within seconds of achieving our freedom and of kicking them the hell off this planet. So if we ever came together, right, we're the sleeping giant. And so I think that what we're seeing here is a chess game that's happening. And there's, I mean, you know, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the grand chessboard, he spoke about that. And that's what it is. And you're seeing chess moves. So some of these things are strategic. Some of these things are, you know, they want to try to transfer power or whatever. It's like any corporation. You got to change the management sometimes, right? And then with some of these events, the whole point, you know, it's not just to take away people's guns. It's not just to declare martial law and lock down cities. It's to generate anxiety and fear so that we, again, are in a state of disharmony. And then we're, again, not focusing on bringing out that positive energy that we need to be bringing out. So I kind of look at it in the future in regards to your question about, you know, the future for children. On one sense, this is why I'm fighting so hard right now. I'm not doing this because it's a hobby, although I very much enjoy doing this, you know. Yeah. But I do this because it's necessary, you know, and in great times of distress. It's the people that actually, it's only a small group of people that usually ends up swinging the direction of whatever it is. So we're building that more and more now, and I'm just encouraged by the amount of people that are awake to what's going on, and the amount of people that I'm talking to that wouldn't have been awake even maybe a year ago or 6 months ago, but now they're looking at things and they're going, yeah, something isn't right. And the more energy we get of people looking at this without fear, but just with an open mind and saying, okay, we've got you. This is something that you're trying to do to derail us. We're adding to that light again and again and again. And I just think that if we could see how many people really are awake and how many great people like Kevin and Annette, people that you've been speaking to, people that I've been speaking to that are doing fantastic things in the opposition to global evil and tyranny, for lack of a better term, then we have to take heart. We can't get pessimistic. We've got great people, and we've got great people from the past who we can draw inspiration from, who have fought these tyrants in their day, and we can look at what they did that was successful, and then say, okay, well, how can we apply that to our modern time? And I feel very optimistic because I choose to feel optimistic and to put that energy out there that says, no, we will win. There is nothing that can stop the human race. We gotta get that critical mass. We gotta continue to inspire people to say, look, enough is enough, guys. We have to stop believing that we're disempowered, that we're evil in some way naturally, or that we're flawed, or that we're just animals. That's how they look at us. And they want us to look at ourselves the way they look at us so that we will become subservient to them, because of course they think they're the gods, right? They think they're the illuminated ones. But the only thing they're illuminated with is their own ego and their own desire for power. What we need to be illuminated with is our own inner light, which is connected to the source, to the galaxy, to everything. Like, that's why I like thinking big all the time. I'm always thinking, hey, I'm not just sitting in my house right now and talking to Mel on my computer. I'm sitting on a ball, flying through space, in a solar system that's in a galaxy where there's trillions of galaxies and there's multi-dimensions. And I take heart in that, because I know we're not alone. And I know that there's great people, even in these governments, organizations, militaries, whatnot, that are helping from within. And that are so I think that we probably would have been wiped out a long time ago hadn't it been for the energy shift that's been slowly taking its time, but swinging back towards our favor. So I take heart in that in the big picture.
Wow, I'm so pleased to hear you say that. I believe it is too. I really do think that we are at a point now where I'm seeing, as I've said a few times recently, and definitely in the last year I've noticed with Freedom Central and the work that I've been doing for the last 4 years, it is in the last year I've noticed the absolute upswing in people coming into this information. But also, it's not just that, it's those who were aware before, who were very much stuck at sort of like, for an old cliche, the surface level of the onion. They were stuck there, but they're now starting to get it. They're now starting to realize that it's a multi-dimensional, multi-layered perspective to consider, and there's many people with many different agendas at play, but ultimately the plan is the enslavement and destruction of the human race, whilst a few benefit. And it doesn't matter if they screw up the planet because they've got their bases underground, plan A, or bases on Mars, plan B, whatever it is they're going to be doing. But I do think now we are at a time where, and we're doing some great work with the ITCCS, bringing the information about, pulling out the real deep, dark and nasties about genocide in various countries. Kevin's done a great job exposing that in Canada. I'm about to start the next round of court cases with regards to South Africa and Southern Africa. And I think I've never ever been so overwhelmed by the amount of support, the amount of people who are now finally getting it, and the amount of people who understand the need for alternative systems, who understand, a common law court is necessary. It's not, there's been so many people who've climbed into me previously about, kangaroo court and what gives you any authority. I'm like, what do you want? Do you want rubber stamp approval from powers that be? These are the people we're putting on trial.
Yeah, people are just in fear of change, and they look at anybody that's trying to create change, and they go, "Oh, who the hell do you think you are?" That's because they're just stuck in a prison of fear. And it's that old quote: "Never interrupt the person doing it." Right? If you can't do it yourself, don't interrupt the people that are. And thank you, Mel, for doing what you're doing with the ITCCS where you are. And we're all trying to slowly get things to work towards the same direction. My goal is to try to get some of these brilliant movements that have great ideas, but maybe don't have all the answers, but try to get them talking to each other and get them working together a bit more. And there's a lot of great solutions out there. There's nothing's hidden from us. We just have to figure out what's going to be in our what's it going to be that's going to work in our community, in our country, and then align with other people around the world as well. Yeah. So I'm very encouraged by the fact that even just someone as yourself would take up and say, look, I'm going to try to do it here where I am. We just need more people to answer the call. That's it.
Yeah. And the role that you attempted to fulfill is a fantastic one as well. We need the glue between the pieces, because there are, so as you said, so many people on so many fronts doing wonderful work, but not enough cohesion. And again, as we spoke about previously, to me, I see that as the ultimate flaw within what's going on. There are a lot of well-intentioned people doing amazing work, but we're not working together necessarily, probably because of bad programming. But what it comes down to is us realizing, okay, we've got to be this change we want to see, and understand that if we are one, we've got to act as one. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. You can't. The more energy from other empowered beings that you bring into the situation, the greater the energy you're going to generate together, collectively. And so we need to come together and stop fighting. My God, the amount of utter stupidity in the truth community, and especially on these blogs and stuff, where just some guy woke up yesterday and now he's criticizing people that have been doing this for years and years and years. There's a lot of ego involved as well, and that really bothers me. And I understand that, of course, the ego is, again, something that is very much born out of fear, and it's there to be a sort of a defense mechanism. And we need to put that in check and put it back in its right place, where it's consciousness that's running the show, not this ego that's just there to help us interface with this reality. And so people get up on their high horse and they think they know all the answers. We need to make suggestions, not demands, not cut down other people. Whether you agree with other people or not, it's not your place to go out there and say you're the one that has the truth and nobody else does. Truth doesn't need to be defended. Truth has an energy of its own. It has a consciousness of its own. It is what it is. Your perception of that is something completely and entirely different. And what we need to do is just say, look, here's some suggestions, here's some information, this is my contribution. I bring it forth with humility, and I bring it forth with the intention of trying to bring about positive change. And you got to get yourself out of the way and allow the truth to do its own work.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, you've spoken to a lot of very interesting people, having come to this point of knowledge that you had. Very, very awake and aware. I can hear you've got a great depth of perception and understanding of things on a multidimensional level. Of all the people you've spoken to, who would you say has probably influenced you the most?
I've had so many great teachers. It'd be hard to nail it down to one.
Yeah.
But if I did have to pick, I got to be honest with you. I'd have to say that it's probably Michael Tsarian. To be honest, I spoken with him and researched his work for probably about 8 or 9 years now, and I think I resonate with him because I come from the sort of warrior tradition where we're not afraid of looking at things in the dark perspectives, and we're not afraid of facing things head on and calling a spade, or at least putting out that powerful intention. And I came across, it was just, for me, it was synchronistic, and I just came across his work, but I couldn't peg it down to one person. I've learned so much from great people, and I'm grateful to all of them. And I really look at each one of these different people, who are great people, in my opinion, who just have different pieces of the puzzle to bring in. And the best ones actually tell you that and encourage you to go out and look at many other sources of information, not just their own. And those are the people that I resonate with. But ultimately, I think, I could even go further and just say that nature has been my greatest teacher. Going out and just getting in nature, and just when I went, there's a beautiful natural reserve that's close to my martial arts studio. And once in a while, I got a little bit of time, I'll go over there and just take a walk, and it's so peaceful and so beautiful. And when you just go in there and quiet your mind and just listen to the sound of nature, I don't know, I feel like it speaks to me, I feel like it empowers me, and I always walk out of that forest with just so much more empowerment. That would be probably the ultimate influence for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I'm sure your little daughter teaches you so much as well.
Oh yeah, let's not forget, because that's the newest edition, of course. So she has been, by far, she kicks everybody's butt in that regard. She's taught me so much, and taught me that here I am talking about love energy and how to increase your vibration. There is not anything on this planet that has helped increase my vibration and my understanding of love than my daughter. And that experience of being there through the whole birthing process, and being there for her, and having this little being that has come from somewhere, that is here now completely reliant on you, and you just have this incredible feeling of love that your chest feels like it's going to explode. And I feel it every day, and I look forward to seeing her every day, and she teaches me so much about myself that I think it's only just begun. I mean, she hasn't even started talking yet. Wait till she starts telling me. Well, I'll be like, hey, what do you think, man? You probably know more than I do.
I think your daughter's going to be an amazing little being. I think she probably already is. I believe that, we choose our parents coming in, and I think we choose our parents to teach us very specific lessons. And she's obviously chosen you to learn some very important ones.
Yeah. Oh, I actually, when I did a little video dedication to her for her first birthday, I started it off with, we love you very much and thank you for choosing us. Because my wife and I have often talked about that we feel like things really came about synchronistically, and we definitely feel that we feel honored to be these guides in her life. And we don't look at it like we own her, that's my child. We look at this as, we are here to help guide, nurture, and take care of this child so that she can do her good work one day. Whatever she's here to do as a soul, she's here, and we just want to facilitate that and give her the best opportunities that we can. So when I took that perspective on board and just sort of let it be, it also shed a lot of the anxiety of worrying about, she's going to fall and bump her head. And as a father, I, of course, have every horrific image in my head of what could possibly happen at any moment. And I have to often just sit back and go, no, just trust, just surrender, just allow what is to be, and live in the moment, and don't think about something that hasn't happened. It's completely an illusion. Fear is either based in the past, or it's based in the future, both of which are not really in existence. So you need to live in the now. And when I live in the now and I look at her like that, I'm rid of any kind of fatherly anxiety that I might have. And of course, I am going to teach her martial arts from day one, just to give her some awareness and natural reactions and empowerment and courage and all of that. I think that for me, that's been such a benefit, and she's definitely going to love it. She already tries. She's already given me a few good shots to the face, so she's got a good future, that's for sure.
Bless. Well, okay, so you're going to be an amazing teacher for your daughter, but looking forward now, having worked through, obviously, a lot of people have taught you great information, where do you see, within the sort of up-and-coming researchers, who do you think are the places that people need to be looking for good, solid information?
Up and comers. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Marty Leeds. He's a great guy. He does a lot of numerology and things like that. And I think his work is just fascinating. I'm actually going to be doing an interview with him coming up soon. He's a young guy. He's great. I don't know a super lot about it, but what I've seen has just kind of blown me away. So I like seeing these young, brilliant people that are coming up and sharing their knowledge. I've even had some guys coming in that they do hip hop or they write music, and they just got some brilliant stuff. But in terms of the research and the up and comers, I think that I really resonate with Santos Bonacci. I think he's great. I think he's got a lot of great stuff to share, and he gave me the opportunity to cover for him while he's in Ecuador doing his new documentary film on syncretism and on the science of light. And so I'll be running his show for the month of May on American Freedom Radio. And I'm going to bring on some great guests and some great people. So people can check that out. And ultimately, people are going to have to decide for themselves. I kind of think of it like this. Certain researchers reach out to certain people. Certain teachers reach out and are designed to reach out to certain people. Maybe it's a personality thing or an energy thing. So maybe if someone might be listening to someone like David Icke, they might be like, wow, that's empowering, that's amazing, and I get what he's saying, I get it. But then maybe someone else might not quite be at that level or understanding, so they might be better off going to someone that's a little bit more basic or whatnot. So everybody has to find their teacher that will really help to empower them, because at the end of the day, we got to stop looking up to people as though they're like our gurus or whatever. We have to eventually be able to become our own teacher. That's the main thing. So I want to see more people becoming the teachers themselves now. I want to see more people coming out and just saying, you know what, this is what I think, and speaking it with just sincerity, and maybe do some research so you've got something to back it up with. And I want to see that. I want to see more and more up and comers, definitely, for sure.
Sure, absolutely. There is so much information to be uncovered, and this is the thing: is we've got a brilliant point you made earlier about how much information has been revealed in the last 5 years that would have taken hundreds of years to compile and work through. And interviewing Jordan Maxwell, he's obviously got Manly P. Hall's entire life works, and he's basically put it out through all his work. And having learned all of that, and having sort of myself being an esoteric scholar, looked at all that and come to the understanding that I have, I'm so grateful for these people who have pulled all together this information, put it out in bite-sized, condensable chunks so that we can absorb it, grow fast, and then build on that. Because ultimately, what is the point of doing what we're doing, gaining and learning all this information, if we're not going to take it further?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we have to. We can't rely on these people to do. They've been doing the heavy lifting for years.
Yes.
I mean, these people like Michael Tsarian, David Icke, Jordan Maxwell, Alan Watt, on and on. I could list thousands. Richard Dolan. People have been doing this for years and years, and we need to take the torch and continue forward. Take the inspiration, and you know what? Re-inspire them by doing that. Because it's very difficult. I don't think a lot of people really maybe understand what it's like to put yourself out there to that degree and have to be hounded by the authorities constantly and the media and by idiots on the internet that think they know something, that just go out and start criticizing and throwing their verbal trash towards these.
Yeah, I know, I get it all the time.
Yeah, we all do, we all do.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just because people are still in that space where they're like, you're a witch, you're saying what I thought yesterday is now not valid, so therefore I'm going to start shooting down you're the person that's holding the light. And it's just because they're still in a space of fear. And so we got to stop this. We got to take what we can. I know people like Jordan Maxwell they've probably forgotten more information than they've even put out and learned, because they've been doing this for so long.
Sure.
And so I'm actually glad he has that podcast now, and he's able to just sort of bring on some of the people that inspire him and get people to hear that out, so that they can hear a lot more of these angles from Jordan that he maybe hasn't ever really talked about, that he knows so much. You just need to ask him the right questions, really. And and there's a lot of great people like that. I mean, I absolutely love David Icke's work. I've been to 2 of his presentations. I actually got to go to Wembley when he was there in London, and I just had a fantastic trip to Europe, and I had the honor of meeting him, and then there's so many other great teachers, and I think that again I've taken bits from each one and said, wow, I really resonate with this. This makes sense to me. Some of it just might not even yet make sense to me, so that, I'm just kind of working on it. But I bring in what I can. I get the documentation on my own, and then I try to step back and look at all these different puzzle pieces and go, okay, well, this piece fits here, this piece fits here, this piece fits here, and of course we're still working on the puzzle, and the puzzle's always changing because they're constantly, the system and the powers that are giving us all these different things to look into, and they're constantly trying to not be discovered and to be, put out disinformation. So we got to go in there and just keep disseminating that, keep dissecting it, looking at it in different angles, and again, we got to become our own teachers. You can't rely on one person to do it all.
For sure. Dave, you know what? You've given us so much information, but I have to ask, do you have any one last message for humanity?
Oh, one last message. I would just say, remember who you are, and if that just seems kind of cryptic or you're not really sure, it's kind of a soundbite we hear. But I really want people to contemplate that. Remember who you are, and remember what it was like to be a child, and that feeling that you had of that just internal bliss of being free and just wanting to explore the world and wanting to think about things and understand things and to play and to have fun and to be with your friends and to just be in that state of bliss. Let's get back to that spirit, but then also tie in this this great knowledge that we can gain that is now at our fingertips. So I just encourage people, get online, listen to people like Mel, go and do your own research. There's plenty of information available. There is no longer any excuses for anybody to say that they didn't know anymore. That whole excuse that was given by those Nazi members in the Nuremberg trials, that they're just following orders, or those German people that just said, well, we didn't know what was going on. Well, we don't suffer from those excuses now. We know what's going on. The information is available to you. So get passionate, get inspired, go out there, do your own research, and let's make this a better world. I know we've been saying it for thousands of years, and I know everybody's going to go, oh, it's impossible. But if you believe it's impossible, then it's impossible. But if you at least can create a better personal world for yourself, and if you can contribute your light, then it will be a better world, just because you decided to start shining. So I just encourage people to continue on that path. I'm here to support any action towards that way and provide information that I can. I only have certain pieces of the puzzle. I'm just a regular guy. I just have good intentions, and I just inspire people to try to follow that as well, and to become who they are and remember who they are.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful advice. Now, are you sure that there's no particular book or writings or works that you're busy with at the moment? Because for me, it just sounds like there's something you're working on, because you've got this insane knowledge.
Oh, well, like I said, right now I'm doing my my YouTube interviews, and I might be getting onto a radio show soon, having my own show, and I very much like to converse and put out. I like to talk a lot. Let's put it that way. And so that's sort of what I'm doing right now. And I'm working on maybe possibly just putting some more videos together, just sort of like little mini documentaries of information that I have, and just sort of linking different things into it. I might be working on a book, but it'll be sort of like in an ebook format where I can actually provide links, and it can be maybe a research tool for people. But maybe I just keep feeling like my role at this point is to just keep referring to the greater works of people, and just trying to help people look at things in an objective way. And I'm just following my heart, and whenever the opportunity comes up, it'll be the right time. Maybe it's just a timing thing. So, but yeah, that's just what I'm working on right now.
Fantastic. I absolutely can't wait to hear more from you. So you let me know when you've got new stuff coming out. Very, very exciting. And I just want to say thank you very much for giving me your time today. So lovely to have met you, and I'm so honored that you contacted me. Really, I truly mean that. You're the type of person that I like to find, so you beat me to it.
I'm honored as well, and it's been so great to have these discussions with you, and thank you for what you do and for bringing me on. And It's an absolute honor. Thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. And listen, you want to do this again anytime, let me know. The more conversations we have like this, discussing research, looking at specific ideas, going backward and forward between people who are knowledgeable about all aspects, I think it can be valuable to all people. And that's the great thing about the internet and about Skype, is we can now make valuable conversations between people available for the whole world. So I'd really like to say, let's do this again.
Absolutely, anytime. And of course, the drama that's taking place in the world is getting more and more intense. There's so much going on all the time. So, as things unfold, let's stick together, work together, and inspire each other.
Absolutely. Sensei David, it's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you for giving me your time today, and let's speak again.
Sounds great, Mel. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
You too. Bye now.
Bye-bye.